Yeah, good morning, everyone. This is Sangeeta. I welcome all participants for 5-day online FDP program on recent trends in the world of photonics. Before we start, I would like to introduce our speaker, Dr. KV SS Sairam. Sir, he works as a professor in ECE department, NMA MIT, NITI. He is also a IEEE student branch counselor. He obtained his B from Karnataka University, Dharwad in 1996, MTech from SJCU Mysore, and PhD in optical communication from JNTU, Hyderabad. Sir, he has 23 years of experience in teaching and research too. He has published 54 papers in international journal, national journal conference, and workshops. He is a Springer reviewer and IEEE reviewer and editor member, and he has reviewed 32 international papers. And sir, he is also author of 3 books, Survivability of Optical Networks, Optical Communication, Basic Electrical and Electronics Engineering. Sir, he is guiding 4 PhD students and guided more than 40 BE and MTech projects too. His research area are optical communication, optical networks, wireless communication. He is associated with IEEE Mangalore subsection as secretary in 2015 and 16 and conducted several events like I2 Connect, International Year of Light, and Light Beyond the Bulb, and technical talks. So many such events he has conducted. And he has also given talk on optical communication, which was organized under IEEE student branch, Canara Engineering College, and also achieved first prize for addressing the IEEE student branch contest in IEEE Bangalore section. Sir, he has also awarded as IEEE student branch counselor and IEEE outstanding branch counselor. And he also received Best Paper Award, Best Project Award, Best Proposal, selected on Global Arena on Survivable Fiber Optic Networks. And he also received a Yuva Engineer Award from MHRD in 2014. Sir, I welcome you for this session. And now it is up to you, sir.
Am I audible right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, madam. Thank you very much for the nice introduction, and a very good morning all the participants. Today's topic I'm going to present, that is on optical communication networks, that is survivability techniques. So here the first
Sir,
point.
can you put it on slideshow mode, sir?
1 minute.
Yes,
Please,
sir. Thank you, sir.
It's okay. It's okay, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
It's fine. Yeah.
So today I'm going to present the topic that is on optical communication networks, that is with respect to the survivability techniques. So here, all of us, we know the most important point. The first point is, what is communication? So communication is an intelligent information which is transceived between the point to point. So we know very well, there is one is the transmitter, another one is the receiver point of view. So an intelligent information. So that's what exactly the information which is intelligent in the form of voice, data, or video. So these 3 are very, very important. So such a way that data is at the beginning stage, that is which is having very less space too, and voice, it is more than the data which is going to occupy at the higher end, that is by means of kilobyte or megabyte to that, and even video also it is going to occupy at the higher end, that is more than gigabyte. So that's why in order to integrate all these services together, So we need the fiber optics. So that's why here the optical communication that is in the form of light, which is integrated if all the consent by means of voice, data, and video. And one more thing that it is very important to note that there are two medias. We know one is guided media, another one is unguided media. So guided media is with respect to the connectivity between end to end, and whereas unguided media, no connectivity between end to end. Means transmitter present and also the receiver present, but there could be many paths, the information that can flow. So here, the information point of view here, with respect to the voice, data, and video has to be transmitted through a media, that is by means of fiber. Then next, we know that there could be basic elements, and basic elements point of view, just would like to have a point with you, that is first one is with respect to the elements. So we know what are the basic elements like resistor, inductor, and capacitor. And whereas the devices, so elements in turn with respect to the devices. So devices point of view, it is with respect to the diode, transistor, and all other consent to that. And next point is with respect to the this one, which one? Elements, devices, then it comes to the system. So system, it comprises of a transmitter, then optical fiber cable, and as well as the optical receiver to that. Then next it follows with respect to the networks, and which is having the configuration of 1-to-1, 1-to-n, that is user and the system connectivity, one user, one system, one user, n systems, n user, one systems, and n user, n systems. So this is what exactly the basic connectivity that's going to be done. So now coming to the block diagram of optical fiber communication system. So that is with respect to the either. So what exactly here we require? We require a source. So the source is the form of, there are many signals like analog and digital, but in turn again there is going to be electrical signal. Then it is in the form of baseband signal, band limited signal, and as well as the modulated signal. So in the information which is present with respect to the optical fiber communication system, it is the form of electrical, because it is the form of continuous signal that is going to be present. And here what happens with respect to the transmitter, all of us we know that is in the form of LED, light emitting diode, and laser diode too. Then it connects through a coupler. Means what? It connects through a media where there are three windows like 850 nanometers, 1310 nanometers, and as well as 1550 nanometers. So such a way that here three different wavelengths that are going to be present across. So such a way that here the information which is going to be moved towards a particular wavelength, because we have a time factor and as well as the frequency factor and as well as the wavelength factor. So in optical communications point of view, it is going to be taken as lambda equal to C by F. Very, very important to that. So lambda equal to the C, that is the velocity of light, to the frequency of the carrier. So carrier consent. So such a way that it is the different wavelengths, such as I told you, 850 nanometer, 1310 nanometer, and 1550 nanometer. And it connects through the media, and where it converts the electrical signal into optical signal. Am I audible, please? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
You're audible.
Yeah, just want to test it whether right, man. Thank you. So such a way that the optical signal, so that converts, I mean, so electrical signal which got converted to optical signal, and in turn by means of it gives the information that is at the receiver stage. So the conversion between electrical to optical, that is by means of modulation, and optical to electrical, that is in terms of demodulation. So such a way that here we are using regenerator, the receiver, regenerator, and then amplifier. So we'll have two amplifiers. One is called pre-amplifier and as well as the post-amplifier. So such a way that here the information should be processed accordingly. Then only it is possible to transmit and receive. So there could be many types of LEDs and as well as the laser diodes and as well as the photo detectors as well as. So that's why before transmitting into the media, so we have used the pre-amplifier, and then post it is concerned with respect to the post amplifier to that. So pre-amplifier and post amplifier is very much used. And as we know very well, there are different types of modulations are going to be used. So here it is with respect to the wavelength division multiplexing. Then dense wavelength division multiplexing, even super dense wavelength division multiplexing. Means what? They're all different types of wavelengths that are coming up so as to accommodate more and more information by means of multiplexing techniques to that. So that's what exactly the block diagram with respect to the fiber optic communication system. Now, very, very important picture is because why I'm dealing with the basics, this is all very, very important for all of us. Because any subject we teach or any discussion concerned to that, then basics are very much required, the fundamentals. So optical fiber communication system based on the total internal reflection, we know that is because it transmit data, voice, and as well as the video concerned to that, exactly it should be reflected towards the other end. And see such that the information has to be processed. So that's why there are many properties like reflection, refraction, and as well as the diffraction. So scattering and all many things I'm not going to discuss in detail, but just want to put to you is these are all very, very important things to that. Now coming to the very clear picture, all of us we know very well why the fiber optic communication is very much predominant or very focused, because it is a light in weight and then it is going to be having more information than any other communication through which, like light, a path can be transmitted into the channel. So such a way that as a channel, so such a way that the information could be sent as fast as possible as compared to the other communications. So that's why the most important factor over here it is the bandwidth. So one is so the first part is the center part, what we call it as core. The end part we call it as so this is what inner diameter, and another one is outer diameter, the core and cladding point of view, and they have the different wavelengths like what you call 50 micrometer, 125 micrometer, 245 micrometer, and the most important point is here the fiber is going to be get coated by means of twisted pair, that is shielded twisted pair. So that's what exactly the basic structure of optical fiber. Now we know there are why again the optical fiber is very famous to that, because it's having two modes. One is called multi-mode and as well as the single mode consent to that. So if the multi-mode, so it goes, the information got diverted by means of many paths, but whereas single mode point of view, it is going to be went through or going through along with the line of sight, that is with respect to the core consent to that. So that's why here the optical fiber is going to be operated by means of these two modes. Now coming to the picture, that is the advantages and disadvantages consent, we know very well. So why we require the optical fiber? Because of bandwidth. Because as of now, the basic principle of a communication system is bandwidth multiplied by time. So bandwidth is very, very important, as well as the time too. That's very, very important. So for all the transmissions of like data, voice and video all consent together to that. So it is very important to see such that bandwidth. So everyone right now we are using the bandwidth like anything to that. So the optical fiber has to support, because it is with respect to megabit or what you call gigabits to then terabits, zettabytes and all those things, all very, very important. So that's why the bandwidth is one of the key factor with respect to the optical fiber advantages. Then another one is electromagnetic interference. That's very, very important. You used to see such a way that it is with respect to the loss. Loss in the sense the loss should be minimized and communication should be maximized. So that's why here it is very, very important. The loss should be very much less. So that's why it is immunity to crosstalk and as well as electromagnetic interference. These two are very, very important. And another important factor is electrical isolation. As I told you earlier, that electrical signal is very, very important. So such a way that it is not, you should not, the electrical point of view, the signal should be continuous. It's keep on. At the same time, we have to go with the different kinds of the bandwidths. Then another one important thing is not only transmitting and receiving the signal, but it should be faithful transmission and reception by means of signal security. The signal security is very, very important. And see such that the information should be sent and as well as received. Then another important point is flexibility. So any type of communication should not be rigid, but almost all communications are rigid with respect to the frequencies. But whereas the optical communication, it is very much flexible by it means. So that's why here it has been taken into the picture to that. So that's why flexibility with respect to the faithful transmission is very, very important. And another one is reliability. That's what I just told you. Reliability is one of the most important parameter with respect to this. One is the flexibility and as well as the other important factor is reliability. That and ease of installation. And another important point of view is earlier it is very difficult to installation concern with respect to the fiber optics, but right now it is very easy to go ahead because there are a lot of techniques came into the picture. So that's why it is very easy to evolve by means of the optical fiber communication installation concern. And there are other disadvantages too. One is the cost and other effects by means of fiber communication too. So I can take the question at the last place. Yes, please. Madam.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I can take the questions at the last now, madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right, madam. That's what I'm continuing it. Thank you.
Okay.
Now, so we came to know what is fiber optics, what is the block diagram, and what are the different modes and how it is going to be processed, and what are the advantages and disadvantages too. And one of the most important parameter is the applications, because here it is very, very important. One is with respect to telecommunication, second one is medical system, third one is interconnect, fourth one is networking, gigabit Ethernet, harsh environment, military, aerospace and avionics, data transfer test, data storage equipments, simulation, semiconductor equipments. Why I read all these things, and even the most important point is 5G networks, because the evolution has begun with the earlier years, that is stages with respect to 1970. The fiber optics has begun to even 2020 or next to 2052. that is with respect to the how the applications are getting evolved. So here one is with respect to telecommunication, because all of us, we know the telecommunication point of view, the data, the voice and the video and other things by means of multiplexing, demultiplexing. So many things, I mean, the scheme point of view, it is to be evolved, first point. Second one is not only in communication, but is also in medical systems, very, very important. The diagnosis and passing the laser by. So many ways the information that is getting used by means of medical system. Third one is interconnect. So interconnect point of view, because you know pretty well www, World Wide Web, that is getting interconnected to that. The next one is by means of networking. That's what I told you. So networking is a group of users connectivity. So group of users connectivity point of view here, please see such that what you call how exactly the users. That's why I told you. As and now we are using n users, n systems, because we have different kinds of networks like LAN, WAN and MAN. But there are other networks too. But basically, it is mainly used with respect to the networking. And another important thing is that gigabit Ethernet. One of the most important point is with respect to the gigabit. That's what I told you. Like kilobyte, megabyte and gigabyte, and as well as the with respect to the terabyte to that. But here gigabit, because it's a standard Ethernet like IEEE 802.3, 802.3U, 802.3Z, standard Ethernet, fast Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet. There are many ways the information got changed. Then another important thing is that because the natural calamities point of view, one of the most important factor, that's why we call the harsh environment. So here how exactly the through as per the environment point of view, how these communication like optical communication is very much involved into that. And another important point of view, military, because there are basic or what you call bands where they can use with respect to the optical system through remote. So such a way that it is very easy and also to detect, because they are going to use the system detectors through fog or through other systems to that, other environment aspects. So this is very, very important. Another one is aerospace and avionics. So such a way that here, not only that, but you're using radar and other communication, but here also to be checked with aerospace and as well as avionics to that. Then another one is data transfer test. This is a very, very important thing, because as and now we are transferring the data each and every time. That too, we are going through the online consent to that. So that's why what you call data transfer is very, very important too. And also the labs consent also to the organizations like industry sectors. They used to transfer each and every minute the information. So that's why data transfer tests are very, very important. That is one of the major application with respect to the optical fiber. Then another one is data storage equipments. Not only transferring, receiving information, but it is like a cloud. So similarly here, how exactly data is going to be get stored. And we have what you call the simulations like NS2, NS3, or the different, not only network simulation, but other simulations too we have, and see such that what you call how exactly data could be evolved and what are the different applications that could be maintained. Then another one is semiconductor equipment. So very important to that, not only the higher level, but the optical communication, optical fiber system is going to be used very much by means of the semiconductor equipments too at the base level. So these are the major applications of optical fiber. Now coming to the electromagnetic spectrum. So electromagnetic spectrum point of view, it's very, very important, because there are three different types of spectrums. One is electromagnetic spectrum, another one is radio frequency spectrum, another one is spread spectrum. We have three different spectrums, but electromagnetic spectrum, which gives all the frequencies like very low frequency, medium frequency, high frequency, very high frequency, ultra high frequency, super high frequency, and electro high frequency, and as well as the extremely high frequencies to that. So that's why, because these types of communications will come towards the advanced communication to that and high level. So such a way that here, what exactly the parameter? One is the wavelength. That's what I told you, because in the optical communication, with respect to the size of the window is going to be measured by means of its wavelength. And again, by means of size of wavelength, it is. And another one is common name of the wave, because there are many types of waves like radio waves, infrared, ultraviolet, then microwaves, soft rays, and gamma rays, and all those things. Then another one is, that is sources. Sources point of view, that is with respect to, there are many kinds of sources where the optical communication is very much related to. So that's why I projected what you call, with respect to this courtesy concern, this is AM radio, then FM radio, microwave, radar, then other sources too. And another important point of view is how exactly data is getting transmitted through the spectrum is frequency one end and energy of one photon. That is frequency waves per second, and as well as energy of one photon, that is electron volts. So this is what a clear picture where the information of the fiber optics is going to be taken into consideration by means of wavelength. Now coming to the, as we discussed earlier, this bandwidth that makes very much significant impact in communication systems. So one is by means of type and applications, format, uncompressed and compressed. So here, that's what I told you, like voice digital, that is 4 kilohertz, audio 16 to 24 kilohertz, video conferencing is more than that, and data transferring, e-commerce and video entertainment, full motion broadcast video, then high definition television. So there are different types of services which are present, and as well as their applications too, and the corresponding the frequencies that are going to be taken into the picture. And then you know pretty well it is going to be compressed, because the compression, because once we send any kind of information, that's always it's getting compressed, so such a way that more amount of information could be transmitted. Now coming to the evolution of fiber optic system, so we know pretty well that is 1950s, 1960, 70, 80 and 1920, and even up to 2021 and even up to 2050, the information which is going to be by means of first the concentration on imaging applications in medicine and non-destructive testing, lighting. First point. Second point is research on lowering the fiber loss of telecom applications, because it started newly at that time with respect to, because with respect to the telecom consent. So the applications are made to happen, see such a way that the loss should be minimum. And development of low loss fiber, that is semiconductor light sources and photo detectors. Then in 1980s, that is single mode fibers, we'll come to know optical carrier, that is OC3 to OC48, that is where very important, and over a repeater, because here we used to have what you call amplifier, repeater, bridges and all other things to that, but here also we used to have a repeater spacings of 40 kilometers, very important. And then 1990 we have an optical amplifier, example RPM doped fiber amplifier, wavelength division multiplexing, then dense wavelength division multiplexing, then super dense wavelength division multiplexing. There are many wavelength division multiplexing, and there are many types of networks also present, like elastic optical network or active optical network, passive optical network, and all these things are present. That, I mean, in this, and also in 2000 present stage, with respect to, because we are going with respect to the generation 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and all those things, and also taken into the consideration with respect to the 5G. Right now, the 5G networks point of view, it is the bandwidth, enhanced bandwidth is very, very important with respect to the fiber optics communication. So that's why, as we discussed, like 850 nanometer, 1310 nanometer, and 1550 nanometer. These three are very, very important with respect to the factor, which is going to be taken with respect to the wavelength and as well as the attenuation consent to that. And also, what are the devices, like semiconductor devices, just we discussed to that, like gallium arsenide, aluminum arsenide, indium gallium arsenide phosphide, then also the optical fibers like erbium doped amplifier, fiber amplifier, and also with respect to the photo detectors, with respect to the wavelength that are going to be present with respect to the chemical combination consent to that. So this is what exactly the operation range or operating range of 4 key components in the 3 different optical windows. So what are the 3 different optical windows? One is called 850 nanometer, second one is the 1310 nanometer, and third one is 1550 nanometer. Am I going fast?
No, sir, it's
Madam?
fine, sir. It's
Yeah.
fine, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Right. Thank you. So, till so far, we are going through the optical communication, how it's happening to that happen, and then how it is happening on all the details. So, with the continuous advancement in the technology, data communication at higher data rates have become the need for the present and future technology. To underline that, higher data rate. So that's why, because it's very, very important to transmit and receive information, the optical fiber is very much predominant. What is the second point? Data can be highly sensitive, and loss of such data can hamper the communication, which can cause huge loss to data, that is time and revenue. Thus, survivability plays a very crucial role in optical networks. So since so far we came to know what is optical network and how the significant and all the consent to that. And right now it is with respect to the how can you prevent the lost data, and as well as the time and as well as the cost. These 3 are very, very important to see such that how it could be, the loss could be minimized and the communication could be maximized. So that's why the survivability plays a very crucial role in optical networks. So what exactly the survivability? It is the ability of the optical network to overcome failure by pre-reservation of resources or by finding available resources after link failure has occurred. So as we know, regarding the optical fiber networks concerned, there are 2 modes. One is working mode, another one is called protection mode. So these 2 are very, very important. These 2 are very, very important, and see such that once working mode got failed, automatically protection mode is going to be replaced with it. And also, the optical mode is very much used to get into the narrow width. That's what the advantage of the light, because light can travel even it's narrow to that. So that's why the survivability is one of the most important factor. It has come into the picture with respect to the optical networks. inter-optical communications. So in this area, there are very few expertise are available to that. So it's very, very important to see such that how exactly it could be expanded in the upcoming arena. Then the most important point is concept of survivability. Already we came to know, but how it could be evolved. So this is very, very important point. So in continuation with that, what is exactly the optical network focus? The network specification can be applied to many types of networks, employing a variety of transmission and switching technologies, because here the most important concept is networking. Second point is switching. Third point is routing. These three are very, very important to that. So such a way that networking is a collection of uses. Switching is the transition between one stage to another stage. Routing is a path that is getting defined. So here there could be many paths like associated path, direct path, then non-associated path, indirect path, and quasi-associated path with respect to the combination of both the paths together. So here, what exactly, how you are going to elaborate? One is optical broadband access networks and trunk networks based on the project traffic growth. The most important point is with respect to the network is the traffic. Second one is evaluate the impact of emerging technologies on network architecture design. So another important point is how the technologies with respect to the are getting emerged with respect to the future trends. For that, we need a design. Third one is what are the different routing algorithms? We know shortest path and other distance vector algorithm. There are many algorithms as such, RSA algorithm. There are many things. But here, how it could be evolved with respect to the optical layered networks, because we have a physical layer, logical layer concern, as well as the optical layer, how it could be well defined with respect to these routing algorithms. Then another one is investigate protection and restoration coordination schemes that are very, very important. One is with respect to the protection and restoration. Then another one is the coordination schemes, because protection one end, failure consent, as well as it has to be restored immediately. So that's why these schemes are very, very important. Anyhow, we'll discuss later. So that is by means of physical layer topology. Coming to the next point is, so as I told, the bandwidth is going to be enhanced by means of at the logical layer by means of packets transmission. So, and another important point is by means of the throughput. These two are the basic points with respect to the logical layer technology. So the performance of optical networks taken into consideration. Factors like trade-off between routing and traffic at the optical layer by means of dedicated light paths, maximizing traffic carried by the availability of spare capacity. So here very important factor is how exactly the spare capacity could be utilized. So coming to the fiber network survivability, 1 minute. So if you see the picture, the first circle which gives the information by means of the network survivability, that is end to end, the transmitter to receiver and this as well as the receiver to transmitter, or a network to network. One is the starting network, another one is the ending network point of view, how exactly it could be transmitted and received. Then how it could be done in turn by means of user to user. That's what I told you, end users to end users. And they have been connected by means of different devices. Different devices. For example, one is with respect to span. Another one is, what is span exactly? The joint. Because node to node, they're going to be a joint. So such a way that the information could be present. The next, it is by means of, another one is the hub. What is hub exactly? The collection of spans. Because collection of paths are connected towards a common point. That's what we call it as hub. Then collection of hubs are in turn connected towards a common point, what we call it as central office. So the central offices are connected by means of a graph, node graph. Because one is the node, another one is by means of flow. These two are very, very important to that. Then another one is by means of gateways. Then it is by means of the routers, because it has to go the different routing mechanism by means of different routers consent. Then in turn by means of the switches too. So there's a lot of parameters are involved with respect to the global fiber network survivability scenario. So this is what exactly the picture which gives an end-to-end connectivity. One is how exactly the survivability, first point. Second point is what are all to be get connected from end to end. Then another one, it is got connected by means of span, then hub, then central office, then node graph, then gateways and routers and all this consent. So this is what exactly the clear picture about network survivability, optical network survivability, how it could be. And there could be different connectivities like fiber demand distribution, fiber network survivability ratio, then fiber demand bundling and fiber integrated methods concept. So here, what is our main focus? In communication networks, survivability defined as the capability to resist any interruption or disturbance of service is very, very important to see such that what you call there should not be any disturbance or interruption between any service. Otherwise, we are going to lose much. That's what exactly the main concept of optical network survivability. That's why here it is important. We should have a plan and as well as the design with respect to these networks. So that's why we call it as survivable fiber optic networks. Survivable fiber optic networks consent, it is that. So one is with respect to the survivability is defined in this way. It is to resist under any circumstances by using the mechanisms. So no loss should be occurred. That's very, very important. There could be loss, but thing is that to see such that no loss, and also see such that involved in planning and designing the survivability fiber optic network. So in order to have the survivability concept, we should also have the planning and designing the survivable fiber optic networks too. Now, what is the approach? So any network point of view, because here optical networks point of view, this approach is one is called the physical layer network design. So which incorporates the conventional survivable network architectures. So here it is very important. There are two approaches. One is the first approach and second approach. So in the first approach, it is very much important to see such that how exactly the physical connectivity that is going to be discussed. Then the second approach is referred to as logical layer network design, which uses optical ad hoc network architectures. So here, as per the information, that is the logical layer. How exactly? Because physical layer is guided, logical layer is unguided to that. Then how it could be connected by means of the optical networks consent. So that's why in order to connect all these connectivities by means of the physical layer and logical layer consent, we have to follow certain standards, either by means of IEEE standards and as well as the SONET, synchronous optical network, and as well as synchronous digital hierarchy, the standards consent. So synchronous optical network standard is used in North America and synchronous digital hierarchy is used in other parts of the world. These two things are very, very important because whatever we do with respect to the, we do means the system that works, the network system, optical network system, it has to follow the standards to that. Then, so these define a synchronous frame structure for sending multiplexed digital traffic over fiber optic trunk lines. That's very, very important. So here, each and every information which is getting transmitted over a trunk line, which is got connected from an end to end, but the traffic is in the form of digital. That's what exactly the meaning says so. And another important thing is that there are various kinds of stages. So such a way that here, how data that could be transmitted. For example, we are using digital signal levels. Then we are using synchronous transport signals. Then in turn, synchronous transport modules. Then in turn, we are using optical carriers. One is the digital signal level, which is the basic. Then in turn, it goes with synchronous transport signal. Then next it goes to synchronous transport module. Then next it goes with optical carrier concept. So that's why these four are very, very important standards where the information that is getting presented with respect to the optical network concept, and as well as the lower data rate and as well as the higher data rate, because this is with respect to, again, the basic principle is modulation. So low level is going to be taken into the high level to that. So that's why these two are very, very important. That's why here, which are scrambled and converted to the optical carrier level and OCN signal. And the basic building block of SDS is called STM, synchronous transport module, with 155.52 megabits per second data rate. And higher data rates are achieved by synchronously multiplexing and different STM. Means what? There is a conversion from digital signal level to STS, STS to STM, and STM to optical carriers concept. So this is what exactly the different levels, as I told you, like OC1, OC3, OC12, OC24, OC48, OC96, OC192. So where different levels of bit rates, the data, different levels of data that is getting transmitted and received to that. So OC1 is basically 51.84. Then OC3, it is 155.52. OC12 is 22.08. And OC24 is 1244.16. OC48 is 2488.32. OC96 is 4976.64. And OC192 is 9953.28. There is 9923 megabits per second to them. And this is how exactly STS1 and equivalent to STM1. So that's why here to understand two steps, one is the SONET and as well as the SDH are very, very important. Then the first problem, and as well as spans consent to that. So I told you what is span, a joint, and the number of joints with respect to the hubs, and number of hubs are joined towards the common point is known as the central offices. Then another important point is that here there are two types. One is called centralized, another one is non-centralized. Because if you are confined towards a particular route, then we'll complete it. But it cannot be enhanced further. Whereas non-centralized point of view, the information could be directed, redirected in n directions. So that's why here it has been taken to the picture by means of the non-centralized span layout. Then next, coming to the point, it is by means of demand pairs, like how exactly the demand pairs point of view. One comma two. So node 1 to node 2 or node 4 to node 5 or node 10 to node 17. So the most important point is enter the demand pairs, source and destination. That's very, very important. So another one is what exactly the DS3 requirement. So this is what exactly DS3 demands. How you are going to take into DS3 requirement, because it's just like a randomly it's going to be chosen to match the information. So such a way that I say the traffic point of view. The traffic point of view, for example, 1 comma 2 is 3. So such a way that the DS3 level is 3. Then 3 comma 4, the DS level is 5. Then 7 comma 8 is 7. So it is very important to see such that how exactly the traffic, the data got distributed to all the nodes. That's what we call it as DS3 requirement. So what we are going to do with this, we are going to enter the span number, that is source and destination. So what we are going to do over here it is, once we are going to do first is the link. What exactly so what we are going to solve in this problem, one is the link connectivity. From where to where the links have been established. And we should know whether link is present or no link. So that's what exactly the point over here. And we have to enter the span path. So if the span path contains the same source node, then yes, then you have to go with some of the present and previous nodes. Otherwise, stop. Got it? So such a way that what you are going to do over here, first one is the link connectivity. Second one is the cost connectivity. So such a way that the data is going to be represented, just now I told you 5 or 7, like that. The next one is the traffic connectivity. Traffic connectivity. So traffic connectivity is the combination of link connectivity plus the cost connectivity. So this is what exactly the two important points where the fiber span layout is going to be evolved. So that's why it is with respect to the span layout, the entire network layout, then how they have been connected. Then we should know it is a non-centralized span layout because it's not going to be connected only one direction. It's going to be connected. Many nodes are connected many ways. That's why it is known as non-centralized span layout. Then we have to enter the link what demand pays with respect to source and destination consent. And then how exactly the traffic that has been flown across. Then we should know the total traffic that is present in each link. So such a way that we'll come to know where exactly the what you call using minimizing link maximum information that could be transmitted. So that's what exactly the achievement of this fiber span layout flowchart. Just a minute. Yeah. So next one is fiber network user service survivability. So we came to know what exactly how exactly network getting distribution by means of fiber span layout. Okay, you have a network, you have a span capacity, but the most important point is failure. So how exactly the failure is going to be minimized using what are the different techniques? So to prevent more than one link failure, so here keep in mind, keep in observation concern, link failure, it is by means of single or multi. These two are very, very important. So to prevent more than one link failure in fiber network size, the spare capacity, protection schemes, and survivability ratio are estimated for different network configurations. Very, very important. N by N is our thing, but how exactly different configuration that comes into the picture, like 10 by 10, 12 by 12, or 14 by 14, or it could be any size. That's why I told N by N size to that. So in order to prevent the loss, so we should go with what is the network, what is its size, and what is spare capacity, and what are the different protection schemes. So for example, you have 3 links. Just a minute. Yeah. 1, 2, 7. Then 4, 5. 8. Then 6, 7, for example. Just a minute. Just a minute, please. System is Yeah, 6,10 is 6,7 is 10. So this is what exactly the paths, and this is what exactly the demands. That's why I told you, because we have DS0, DS1, DS2 and all, where they used to carry low level to very high level. So DS3, which is going to be carried okay, sir. So because since it is slideshow, it is moving to the next point of view. So that's why. So here, what exactly things are? One is the user service survivability. That's the main thing. So here we use different schemes. So that's why I just want to put to you like 1227, 4258, and six to 7, 10. What is the total? It is 10 plus 8, 18, and 10 plus 7, 25, the total. But whereas any failure that occurred, for example, between 4 to 5 is 1, 2 is 7. So the path will become one comma 2 is 7 to that. Same. Then four comma 5 is here what I want to tell you is, since we are using many systems, many schemes, so in that the first one is APS, automatic protection switching system. Means what? Automatically it takes into, but it can be useful by means of the manual consent. Because digital point of view, you have to check, I mean, manual point of view, you have to check on all those things. But it is with respect to two configurations. One is called 1:1. Another one is called sorry 1+1. So here 1:1. What one stands for? Working fiber. Another one is protection fiber. Here also the same. So automatically automatic protection switching system, but it is with respect to the 100% consent. So that's why what you call, we go for diverse protection. DP stands for diverse protection. So in that also, if you go with respect to 1:1, it is 100%. But if you go one is to 2, with respect to, it could be 50% of the failure of that link, but the information can be transmitted and as well as received. So that's what exactly the main significance of this particular problem. So user demand. So here we use user demand pairs and use as well as 1:2 DP protect system and as well as central offices. Then it is if the path between user and demand pairs, if S, there is a path exists, then enter the path. Just now we discussed what are the different paths to, for example. Then if the path fails, I mean, if the link fails in that path, then we should go protection system with DS3s. That's what we go with 1:2 DP, which is always very much desirable. There are many other schemes, but here 1:2 DP is very, very important. Then another one is enter the demand pair. That's what enter to that. Then user service survivability ratio is what we are going to consider over here is so 25 we made it, the total. But if the path got failed in that, then first one is 7, second one is 4, and another one is 10. So totally it becomes 21. So earlier it was 25. So how exactly you are going to measure the survivability ratio? Survivability ratio is going to be measured by 21 divided by 25. So in such a way that so it is 84%. It's 84%. The total percentage is 100%. But here it is with respect to the 84%. So we are not going to lose the data. Under any circumstances, one thing keep it in, we are not going to lose the data, but we are using a scheme or a system where data could be safely sent or through an alternate path. If that particular path has got failed, particular link or path got failed, then we can use this particular survivability ratio system. So this is what exactly the second one with respect to the fiber network user service survivability. Third one is digital signal forming, very, very important. So there are two procedures. One is called direct path, another one is called indirect path. So always a network is comprised these two. So direct path we can take into the direct evaluation, like demand pair with respect to hub, then direct and indirect. Direct, I'm concerned to that. Indirect point of view, you have to go through the so direct, we can take that particular data. For example, 1,2 is 6. This is what exactly the direct point of view. Whereas indirect point of view, it's going to be allocated by means of a parcel list. Parcel list. How exactly the parcel list between hub to hub? That is for example, we have 5,6 is 15. So how it could be done indirect point of view? It could be 5,6 7, one parcel list, and another one is 5,6 is 8. So such a way that it has to take into consideration of all the paths together and see such that what you call it should be bundled. So that's why the name is demand bundling. So such a way that data got strengthened of all these networks together. The next, so direct DS3, enter that. Otherwise, you have to get into the different parcel list to that. So that's what exactly the flow that is going to be between the direct path and as well as the indirect path. So the next one is fiber network, that is SONET multi-period capacity calculation. So this means it is by means of the integration. So we saw integration of data, voice and video is going to be happen in this fashion. So as we saw, that planning period for different fiber networks are designed by using SONET multi-period capacity in terms of demands, optical carriers and protection schemes all together. One is the span layout, second one is the fiber network user service survivability ratio, third one is the demand bundling. All these put together by means of different standards like SONET and SDH and all put together, then this spare capacity, I mean the SONET multi-period capacity calculation will come into the picture. So what exactly it is, the flow chart. So here it consists of all OC line rates. That's what we discussed right now. What are the OC1, OC3, OC9, OC12, OC48, OC192 and all those things. Then if the line rate is selected, then the Q, I mean the demand is going to be entered, because each and every line rate will have its own demand to that. Then the demands are going to be placed in the order, that is ascending order to that. Then increasing of the what you call the demand from the lowest to the highest. Lowest at the beginning, it comes to the highest at the later stage. So this is what exactly. So first one is fiber demand distribution. Second one is the fiber network user survivability ratio. Third one is fiber network demand bundling. And fourth one is fiber network integration. So what exactly the higher end consent means? Logical layer. This is what exactly the physical layer. So logical layer consent, it is with respect to the, what is the channel capacity? Very, very important. That's what we discussed with respect to the 3 windows, 850 nanometer, 1310 nanometer, 1550 nanometer, even right now 1610 nanometers too, new. Then optical channel resource sharing, very, very important to that. How exactly resource at the higher and higher level it could be shared. Then spatial locality. It is very, very important to see such that how the system is, whether it is an independent or dependent too. So that's why like mobility, scalability. So similarly here, it is very important to note that what exactly the spatial locality will come into the picture. Then scalability and node mobility. That's what I told you. Because it's a scalable, the distance point of and as well as the mobility consent to that. From where to where the information can be sent and received. Then another one is multi-hop optical network. One is single hop, another one is multi-hop because of the transportation, traffic, restoration, protection. All these things will come into the picture. So that's why it's a multi-node. Hop means node. So that's why multi-node optical network is very much significant. Then not only having the channel, but another important factor is maximizing channel utilization. That's very, very important to that. So you should always use the channel at the higher and higher too. Then integration of optical network design issues. That's very, very important to see such that what you call how exactly these issues are being again means what we have certain problems and the problems are going to be get solved, but later on new things are going to come into the picture. Then how we are going to integrate further with respect to the connectivity between the logical and as well as the physical and logical connectivity concept. Then another one is quality of service. It's very, very important to see such that how exactly the quality of service is going to be strengthened, is well maintained. So that's why with respect to the capacity of optical transmission, first factor that could be enhanced from the physical channel. Then the second factor is network size and traffic patterns. Then another one is transmission flow, that is slot queue and packet queue. Slot queue and packet queue. That's very, very important. One is slot, which point to which point, and then what sort of information that will be sent through that packet. So those things, these two will be in queue to that. So that's why it depends on the network size and as well as the traffic pattern. So that's why, as I told you, like a comparison point of view, there are different algorithms like what you call basic pair, minimum level pair queuing techniques, and as well as two-tier algorithm and as well as hybrid algorithm. But these are the major factors like location dependent contention, spatial channel reuse, means throughput. Then conflicts between ensuring fairness and maximizing channel utilization, then distributed nature, then node mobility and scalability, and all are very, very important. So that's why what you call these algorithms concerned to that, it has to be compared and then got the values exactly where they can be true or where it can be false to. Then how it could be effectively used for different connectivities. So the conclusion point I would like to put to you, what has been discussed right now is network topology, architecture analysis, design and implementation of physical and logical layer connectivity approach. That is one point. That's what exactly the survivability technique. Examples, problems with solutions. That's very, very important, because whatever we discuss, we have to discuss with respect to the examples, problems with solutions. And all are connected with respect to quality of service. That is traffic connectivity with respect to QoS, traffic restoration with QoS, traffic path mechanism with QoS, traffic integration with QoS channel, effective reuse with QoS. So these, one is connectivity, restoration, path mechanism, integration, and then effective reuse is very, very important. So these are the references, because I did a lot of work on this. And then, so finally, thank you very much for giving the opportunity from RNS IT management and as well as the madam. Yeah, please, your questions, please. Madam, please. Thank you.
Participants, any questions?
I hope all of you understood.
Forum is open to questions.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, good afternoon. This is Jyoti Ranjan.
Very good.
Actually,
Very good afternoon, sir. Please.
Sir, could you please tell again about that survivability ratio, how to find? You have written on the chat box. Could you please explain again?
Sir, you take a consent network, sir, with the server to, I mean, different node connectivity, because we require the links and as well as the server node, sir. 2 points are very, very important by means of a network. You got the point, sir? First point. Hello? Hello?
Hello? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. No, that's what. First point is the connectivity is between one point to many points, sir. One point means what? The server, sir. I'm talking about. You got it, no, sir? All the links have been connected to the server too. That's the number one.
Yes,
sir. Second point is that you should define the demands by means of DS3, DS4 or DS5 point of view. It's a random. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's the second point. Then what you'll do is, depending on the connectivities, you add the total demands of that
Okay.
particular network. Got it, sir?
Okay.
And what we are using the scheme over here, 1:2 DP. 1:1 is 100%. No, sir. It is not practical.
Yes.
It's a theoretical consent, 100%. So nowhere we'll get 100% results.
Yes.
Understood? No, sir. So
Yes, yes.
it could be diverse protection. There are other schemes like 1:1, 1+1, automatic protection switching system. There are many things are there, but we are using diverse protection because the failure is not going to be happened in one link. There could be many links. So that's why here what we are using is 1:2 DP. So wherever the failure got occurred in that particular link, then the link value becomes off. Link value means that demand becomes off. Then add to total. So how you are going to calculate the survivability ratio, failure demand to the total demands. Then in that way, we are going to get the survivability ratio that. I hope you understood, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, what is the significance?
So
By getting the
significant, we should know, no, sir. Failure consent, then we have to go with no. If it is, see, for example, it is 100%, the total efficiency is 100%, or throughput could be 100%. But here it is very important to note that how exactly you are going to measure the information, even though failure occurs by means of single link or multiple link. Through that, we are calculating the survivability ratio, sir. It got survived by means of 86%. Got it? But at the same time, data has been sent from source to destination. That's what. Through alternate.
Okay. Yes, 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 absolutely.
You understood, no, sir? That's what.
Yes, yes,
Exactly.
yes, 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 yes. I got now. I got.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, any questions further, please?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Madam, good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm Padmini.
Yes, madam, please.
Yeah. Sir, actually, while taking this survivability ratio, don't we have to consider the other parameters like the lambda in which it is traveling, all those things?
So that will be there. That will be
Speed.
there, madam. But here we are giving with respect to the demands, no? Exactly. We are giving the demands by means of what you say that digital signal levels to that. So those demands are going to be taken into consideration during that path, lambda 1 equal to lambda 2 equal to lambda 3. So that's why, but again, lambda 1, 2, 3 point of view, here we are giving the node that is source and destination phase, madam. That's what.
Okay. Yeah. Now,
Got it,
whatever DSO1, DSO0,
Yeah.
I mean DS0, that is actually, if I'm not wrong, is it a speed? I think.
Yeah, it's data, madam. It's a data, bits per second, no?
Yeah,
As I
data
told you
rate,
earlier.
data rate, right?
Yeah,
Data-
exactly. Data rate. That's
Yeah,
bits
speed.
per second to that.
Speed.
So we are using the high level.
Okay.
We are using the high level. So such a way that what you call the loss is not going to be happened. That's our main intention, no, with respect to optical networks.
Okay.
The loss should be minimized and communication should be maximized with respect to the survivability concept.
Yeah. Now, actually, if the fiber cut has happened in DS3, for example, and
Not DS3, madam. Not D. Yeah, tell me, please.
Yeah. If at all it has happened in DS3
Ah.
and the alternate path, whatever you're opting is DS1, then there is a difference in the speed or the data rate. Like, is that considered while taking in your algorithm, sir?
Madam, one thing I just want to put to you, we are taking only DS3 part. There is no DS2, DS1. We are not going to that.
Okay.
Straight away, the demands are with respect to the higher level only.
Okay.
Whenever failure occurs that link, then alternate path is going to be restored with respect to the DS3.
Okay.
All are with DS3 only, no, madam. No DS1 consent. Otherwise, I mean, the data rate and other things, other values are going to be get changed to that. That's why I told you only we are using the DS3 consent.
Yes, sir.
Even
Okay.
DS4 or DS5, the higher data rate.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
most welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions from your end, please?
Sir, I'm Dr. Asaf Hindi. I'm from Pune, Rajasthan
Madam,
College.
very good afternoon. Please, madam, tell me.
Sir, this basically I'm from electrical engineering. When this optical network implementation we came, so for the electrical networks, this survivability capacity connected algorithm can be used, madam, sir?
Madam, will you please repeat, madam, please?
For the electrical networks, sir, because
Electrical networks?
for the higher ranges,
Yeah.
like 11 kV, 22 kV. So this survivability connectivity algorithm can be used because we generally do not use such a kind of for the SCADA systems and all. We need some this kind of algorithms to be implemented. So if we use the optical networks, will it be okay for that 11 kV, 22 kV? And all?
Yes, madam, because this is the logical, this is a digital transmission, no, madam. Hello? This is with respect to digital transmission. So, I mean, through that level, because physical already it got connected to that. And the higher end, the packets with respect to data transmission, it can be used, madam. This,
It can be used. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Because we are using this, I told you, no, madam, digital signal levels, then synchronous transport signals, synchronous transport modules, optical carriers, and all those things, madam.
Okay.
Yeah, these things will, because the base is the thing and the higher level, because all connected, no, madam. The physical layer and logical layer both are got connected. So that's why it is the optical layer to that.
Because now, sir, most of our electromagnetic relays are converted with the numerical relays.
Still many things has to come, madam.
So SCADA systems,
You know pretty well. You know pretty well. Yeah, I mean, we are speaking 5G, but some countries already crossed the 7G or 8G also.
Yes.
No, I just want to put to you because these are all only few people are working on this in India.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So survivability consent to that. So that's
Okay.
what, because that's why I gave the glimpses of what exactly the work has to be done.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, madam. Thank you. Yes, please.
Yeah, participants, any questions? Yeah. Shall I conclude the session? Anyone, if you have any questions, you can ask now. Yes, thank you. It is our privilege that we could get an opportunity. We could get an opportunity to listen to Dr. Sairam sir's session, which included what is OFC, how the working of it, applications, what are the various issues in optical network, and what are the standards and working of those standards. All these things we could understand it, and it is it's like very elaborative session, sir.
Yes,
And
madam.
we organizing team of FDP would like to thank you for your time and to be part of this recent trends in world of photonics. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the participants and as well as the management too. Thank you, madam, for giving the opportunity from RNSIT.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Most welcome.
Participants, I would like to tell you that session 9 will start from 2:30 and the link has been shared in the group. I request all participants to join at 2:30 for the session 9. Thanks a lot.
Right, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Participants, one more announcement. The link of the feedback and attendance has been shared in the chat box. I request everyone to fill that one.
I'm leaving the meeting, madam.
Sir, okay, sir. Thank you,
Right.
sir. Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank you.
much. Yeah.